The ANC NEC has come out in support of Finance Minister Tito Mboweni's economic paper. Secretary General Ace Magashule says there are no fundamental differences of opinion on what needs to be done to revive the economy. But COSATU and the SACP have already rejected the plan. It will now be discussed at the next alliance meeting. COSATU's General Secretary Bheki Njalinjali joins me now to talk about this. Mr. Njalinjali, thank you very much for your time. The NEC throwing its full weight behind that strategy document.
Of course, any organization, when one of its leaders have made such kind of a document in the public domain, they have to come out and say to support the document. What we will have to be or are eager to see is what is the final document now after the many input that were given either by the ANC in the workshop as well as to what has been discussed in the NEC itself. So we have to wait for the document to come out and see whether there are no major changes in relation to these issues. Our observation that there were a number of people who were in the meeting were raising different opinion in terms of the document, whether the micro or the macro should be the one that leads, whether the micro and the overall strategy should be the focus in dealing with those issues. And in our engagement in that meeting, it just came quite clear that what the Treasurer was trying to do was the question of trying to align whatever policies that were to be made. A number of ministers make presentation from the DTI, which is supposed to be the driver of the economy in terms of manufacturing and etc. The mineral and energy make some input, and many other people make an input out of that one. And our understanding from that debate was that the document has to be realigned to talk to how, and in one page, in one document, to have the overall picture as to what needed to be done. The emphasis, as we understand it, was more about operational. Do it aggressively, you need to implement whatever we have. So as a mixture of many other issues, from the IPP to the New Growth Part to the NDP, and some of the policies in the NPS we all know have not been working. The target has been missed in dealing with those particular issues. The projection of 2% economic growth was not going to help this country. The question of absence of stimulus that has not been put in on when they are referring to the 2018 stimulus packages, nothing came out of this, we all know. So it's going to be seen what is the final document that is coming out of this debate and to be able for us to engage. Agreed was a number of issues. For an example, it agreed that issue belonging to the bargaining councils that we deal with wages, you can't deal them in the strategy. It has to be taken back there. In issue relating to the national minimum wage, exemptions, bargaining council extension belong to another forum. It can't come to these issues. We accepted the apology that was given by the minister himself and said there were reasons why normal procedure were not followed according to them, but they apologized and accept that one. What we were expecting from now is a new document that has to be tabled to the alliance. Fortunately, we've got an alliance secretariat tomorrow. We'll hear more what has been agreed, but within the ANC, because it's not agreed within the alliance. Then to engage the alliance, leading to an alliance political council. Once that has been done with the political areas, if there are new policies, then the document has to be tabled by government officials in NEC. That's where the real engagement is going to take place.
So you don't think that the apology was to shut you up, and in essence, the neoliberal policies, you often call them, will continue?
There was nothing.
What will be tabled or put on the table?
The issue that we ask, and we ask it in honest, and we said, is there new policies in here? Don't camouflage a new policy if there's anything. The only thing that we're coming through the back door, which in our view is camouflage, in the quotated in the public or the private intervention in dealing with those. You said we need to define that particular issues because the private sector interest is different from the public sector interest. For example, if they have to enter into the energy, what drives them is to make profit, when in fact in the public interest is not to make profit, is to maintain the system, make electricity affordable, and etc. and etc. We're going to look at that one. We make our statement because what we were asked during the workshop was to comment, was not the negotiation. And we said We'll oppose a question of privatization at all costs in dealing with those issues. We're prepared to engage in the question of funding of ESCOM. We need to hear government. I think the minister was talking about everybody paying, which we accepted that the department must pay, municipality must pay. Ordinary people who can afford to pay electricity must do pay in dealing with those particular issues. And then we said we needed to discuss how we're going to fund ESCOM. And we raise our hand, for an example, that says, we wanted to invest in the prescribed assets. If they make the environment conducive, workers can invest their returns for their funds. We're prepared to engage in dealing with those things. What we're not prepared to do is to bail out state-owned enterprises. They must clean it up, get the right people that we are going to do. What is silence, although in the ANC document, which we would think it doesn't come quite clear, is the issue of corruption and the money stolen to be recovered. We said you can't expect people to be investing there when you can't clean your house and people can be assured that money invested will give return and are going to be moving forward.
Did you agree with the notion of breaking it up into 3 entities?
No, we did not agree on that issue. So of course, we're going to engage when we move forward. We tried to understand what differences will it make. And we said, whether you break it into different entities, if corruption, if lack of leadership is going to be there, it's just you are breaking problems to a different entities and it's going to continue. First, clean your house. Clearly indicate how you are going to clean ESCOM, for an example, how the return of investment money will be in there. It is only then that you can talk to us. Of course, in the earlier meetings, earlier this year, when the president coming from Parliament raised these issues, we raised a number of issues. We asked them, are there going to be job losses? They says no. Are you going to privatize? They says no. Is electricity going to be affordable? They said yes, they're going to deal with those things. And then we raised the issues of the renewable energy. We said, what prevent ESCOM as ESCOM? What prevent the state to invest in a clean energy, in renewable energy, and take part in dealing with those issues? They said there was nothing. And we said we must look to the future of coal. Coal has been, all the corruption that we know about ESCOM has been about the question of the availability of coal, the prices, and the deal. And said, are you prepared to clean that one? And we said, clean those issues, get all the necessary issues, then come to us and say, having done of all of these issues, is there still a need to unbundle ESCOM? Then we're going to talk about that.
What is your answer, or what do you think most people leaned towards with regard to possible job losses at ESCOM? Because analysts say there is no way you can turn ESCOM around without dealing with the number of people the company has right now.
Look, we have said there are a number of, in any restructuring, sometimes there's a job losses in dealing with those things. What we've been crying foul of is that don't sell us something that is not there. Be honest with us. If there are going to be job losses, please indicate where there's an overstaffing, because you can't do restructuring without telling that in this unit there are so many people, they're overstaffed, they're employed, they're not doing the work. From the Federation point of view, we are very far from those issues, will not know. But at least tell the unions who are organizing there, because those are the people that they can engage to determine whether in the generation, in the particular plant, whether people are overstaffed or not, then we can be able to talk about those issues. But we can't reject without any evidence. We can't even accept without evidence. Let those who know, say it's the overstaff, come up with evidence and engage the union in a transparency.
Out of the weekend NEC meeting, what is your understanding of what needs to happen next?
What we understand is that there has to be an alignment of documentation, but there have to be more emphasis. There were a number of rehashes. For example, other people think it's a new policies that a small and medium enterprise must be paid within 30 days. This is a long thing that has been taken. There's a long debate that says government must be procured to the small and medium enterprise. Localization is all a rehab of many of those particular issues. We said with exception of ESCOM, in terms of the debt and the funding, there's nothing new in this particular document. So we don't know what maybe the SG is talking about when they said there are no fundamentals. There will be no fundamentals if they repeat the same issues, except that we still disagree with the NDP, as we have said it in the past, that if they are projecting 1 million job opportunities over the particular period, we're not going to address and arrest the question of the unemployment. It's going to increase because as the population increases, and if you are not matching, in fact, your economic growth must be faster than the population growth. If you are not addressing those issues, we're going to be facing the same problem the next time we meet. And we also indicated when the problem of, I heard one of the ministers says government is working in isolation, in silos. This is not new. We heard it a long time ago. When the president came here, he said in 2018, departments are working in silos, it's going to be addressed. A year later, we're still having the same stories. Government is working in silos, it has to be addressed. We need action, and we need action quite speedily so that we can be able to have a further debate, not about the debate that we're talking about.
Were timelines discussed at the weekend?
Come again?
Were timelines discussed at the weekend?
No, in the weekend, I think maybe in the ANC, in the weekend it was ministers raising the problem, people commenting. It was not a discussion for us, to say the least. People were expressing their views, whether you say this, the next speaker will not concur with you, may say something else, the time was not enough. You can't discuss new economic strategies within 2 hours, for an example, with 200 people. It's not possible. You need dedicated people to sit down, to align it, to see what is new, what is working and what is not working. It has to be evidence-based, what is not working. If you have to move away from the NDP, tell the people what is not working in the NDP so that they can be able to come out with new ideas, what needed to be done. It did not happen. So I would not know about the NEC. We're not there. So the engagement with us moving forward
as alliance partners,
as an alliance partners now, is to say, where is the COSATU document? Where is the alignment? Where is the differences? Then we can have a genuine and transparent engagement moving forward.
And your understanding is that nothing will be final until those conversations with alliance partners are held?
Exactly. But beside that, the government knows that any socio-economic issues, the cabinet can address those issues without them being given to NEC in the first instance. It's in the law. All socio-economic issues, if you have to change the policy, the cabinet can discuss, they can write papers, but eventually it must go to NEC. It's only after NEC that it must go back to the cabinet or go to the parliament if there is a legislation needed to be changed.
Mr. Chanchale, thanks very much for your time this evening. He's, of course, COSATU's General Secretary.